Across the vast and varied landscapes of North America, from the sun-drenched plains to the quiet suburban gardens, whispers have long circulated of a most peculiar creature. Reports describe a familiar animal, the humble rabbit, but with a startling and almost mythical alteration. Instead of the soft, twitching nose one expects, these animals appear to have strange, dark growths sprouting from their heads and faces. Some observers have described them as horns, others as gnarled, trunk-like tentacles, giving the unfortunate creatures an otherworldly and unsettling appearance. These sightings, often fleeting glimpses at dawn or dusk, have fueled local legends and sparked a sense of wonder and deep curiosity. These are not creatures of folklore, but real animals living with a visible and dramatic affliction. Imagine happening upon one during a quiet walk. The scientific explanation for these horned rabbits is in its own way as fascinating as any myth. The culprit is a tiny, unseen agent known as the Shope Papillomavirus, named after Dr. Richard E. Shope, who first identified it in the 1930s. This virus belongs to a large family of papillomaviruses, which are known to cause warty growths in many different species, including humans. When this specific virus infects a cottontail rabbit, it hijacks the animal's skin cells. It essentially reprograms them, causing them to multiply uncontrollably and produce an excess of keratin. Keratin is the same tough protein that makes up our own hair and fingernails. This overproduction of keratin is what forms the bizarre horn-like tumors. Initially, they may appear as small, dark bumps on the rabbit's skin. As the virus continues its work, these growths can enlarge dramatically, becoming elongated, branching, and horn-shaped. They are, in essence, skin tumors, but their appearance is so unusual they were once mistaken for actual horns. The virus is quite specific, primarily affecting cottontail rabbits, its natural host. In these animals, the growths are typically benign, non-cancerous, and not spreading to internal organs. The virus spreads through the rabbit population in a few key ways. It can be transmitted through direct contact between rabbits, especially if one has an open cut or abrasion that allows the virus to enter. More commonly, it is spread by biting insects, mosquitoes, ticks. The striking appearance of rabbits infected with the Shope Papillomavirus has naturally given rise to a great deal of folklore. The most famous of these is the myth of the jackalope, a creature said to be a cross between a jackrabbit and an antelope, sporting the horns of the latter. Postcards, taxidermied novelties, and roadside souvenirs made the jackalope a piece of Americana. The discovery of real rabbits with horn-like growths provided a tantalizing hint of truth to the legend, blurring the line between fact and fiction. Science, however, provides a clear and definitive explanation that separates the myth from the biological reality. The growths are not true horns, which are made of bone covered in a sheath of keratin and are attached to the skull. Instead, these are cutaneous tumors composed entirely of keratin, rooted only in the skin. Furthermore, the idea of a rabbit and an antelope interbreeding is biologically impossible. They belong to entirely different orders. The jackalope remains firmly in the realm of folklore, a charming piece of Americana inspired by a misunderstanding of a fascinating natural phenomenon. This knowledge allows us to replace fear with fascination and to appreciate the complexity of the natural world. Upon seeing a rabbit with such alarming growths, is it dangerous? For humans, the answer is a resounding no. The Shope Papillomavirus is highly species-specific. It infects rabbits, particularly cottontails. It cannot be transmitted to people. You cannot catch these horns by touching or being near an infected rabbit. Risk to domestic pets is extremely low to non-existent. Other papillomaviruses can affect dogs and cats, but Shope is a rabbit specialist. Small caveat for domestic pet rabbits. Domestic rabbits can rarely become infected. Exposure can occur via mosquito bites in areas with infected wild rabbits. The real danger is to the rabbits themselves. Tumors are benign in cottontails but can cause severe problems. Protecting rabbits, both wild and domestic, from the Shope Papillomavirus involves a combination of environmental management and responsible pet ownership. For wild rabbit populations, there is little that can be done to eliminate the virus. The most effective measure we can take to help all wildlife is to reduce the number of biting insects in our own backyards. For those who keep domestic rabbits as pets, especially if they live in areas where wild cottontails are present, preventative measures are key. The best way to protect a pet rabbit is to keep it indoors or in a securely screened outdoor enclosure. This physical barrier prevents contact with both wild rabbits and the insects that carry the virus. If rabbits must spend time outdoors, it is best to limit their access during dawn and dusk, when mosquitoes are most active. Consulting with a veterinarian who specializes in exotic pets can also provide further guidance on rabbit health and safety. If you happen to encounter a wild rabbit with these growths, the best and most compassionate course of action is to observe it from a distance and leave it alone. Attempting to capture or treat a wild animal is not only dangerous for the animal, but it is also often illegal without the proper permits. Wildlife rehabilitation centers are sometimes equipped to handle such cases, but the prognosis for a severely afflicted rabbit is often poor. The stress of capture can do more harm than good. Ultimately, seeing a rabbit with Shope Papillomavirus is an opportunity for education and empathy. It is a chance to explain that the animal is not a monster but is sick and needs our respect. By understanding the science behind the tentacle rabbit, we replace fear with knowledge and revulsion with compassion.